So basically, I'm Microsoft for the body. I update the immune system, and it's kind of like the immune system has lost the information. Maybe it used to recognize calcium, and now it's kind of like a corrupt file, and it can't remember, and it only can remember just a teeny little bit. But then it doesn't know what to do with it. Has no idea. So it tries to trigger and tell us that there's a problem. Well, who's going to fix it? Right? There's no Microsoft or Apple for the body. So what I do is I update the immune system. And when I do, the body no longer reacts the same way.
All right, welcome back to the Everyday Saturday podcast. Sam Crowley here with my friend Terry, and this is going to be a lot of fun. We are going to have a lot of fun. We're going to talk about how to free yourself from immune system flaws and live life to the fullest. And I've got Terry here to talk all about it. Terry, how are you today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing amazing. I'm doing amazing. Terry and I have been working together for, geez, it's almost been like 9 months. Do you believe that?
It has been a while. Yes.
Terry launched her podcast, Relief from Everyday Symptoms. She's got her own site. Check it out, everydaysymptoms.com. A fascinating individual, and we want to dive in. So, Terry, please tell the audience a little bit about your background and what you do. Just what do you do?
Okay. I'm an RN. I went to nursing school and did traditional medicine for many years. And then I had a very unusual experience that happened. My boyfriend, who was actually my boyfriend at the time, ended up on a ventilator 3 times in 3 months due to asthma. Very, very serious situation. Went to a real famous clinic and they gave him 2 years to live. So I am a very kind of spiritual person and I prayed for an answer and the answer came and that's why I do the work that I do. So basically, I update the immune system. So just like a computer, we have an operating system that Microsoft or Apple made and that operating system basically takes care of the computer and the information on it and it also um, make sure that the computer doesn't engage with things that are not helpful, right?
Right.
So the things that are helpful are going to be Microsoft or Apple updates. Um, the things that are going to be viruses and malware. And then there's a little clause in there that says if I don't recognize it, it automatically goes to the not friendly category. Hopefully, the computer will quarantine it or not engage with it. So Microsoft and Apple they are going out on the internet looking for the vulnerabilities and they come back and give us updates. So that concept is very similar to our immune system. Our immune system is basically a software program. It's scanning around looking for the enemy. Its whole job is to keep us safe and it decides what's friendly and what's not. Well, the problem is that our system, our computer system, our operating system or immune system doesn't get any updates. So it's really old. And it remembers an heirloom tomato and blue skies and clean water, is what I usually say. Just to give you an idea that it's really, really basic, it doesn't recognize things we create in a chemistry lab. So when we go in there, we make super glue and memory foam and artificial flavoring and synthetic fabrics. The immune system looks at it, says, I don't know what that is. I don't have a definition for it. So the way it manages things is it wants to tell us, it actually works for us. So it wants to tell us that there's a problem. So it goes and it can't speak to us in words. So it speaks to us in symptoms. As soon as we see symptoms, and I'm talking any symptoms, clearing your throat, back pain, asthma, migraines, stomach aches, diarrhea, whatever it is, your immune system is talking to you. So basically, I'm Microsoft for the body. I update the immune system, and it's kind of like the immune system has lost the information. Maybe it used to recognize calcium, and now it's kind of like a corrupt file, and it can't remember, and it only can remember just a teeny little bit. But then it doesn't know what to do with it. Has no idea. So it tries to trigger and tell us that there's a problem. Well, who's going to fix it? Right? There's no Microsoft or Apple for the body. So what I do is I update the immune system. And when I do, the body no longer reacts the same way. So people that are not able to eat or use things that would cause symptoms before are finding that that's no longer an issue. So this is what I do, and I've been doing it for about 24 years now, and I absolutely love it. It is like a CSI investigation for me. I am able to look at symptoms and tell you why you're having trouble.
Wow, do I've got questions. I've got so many questions. Okay.
Let's go.
So the audience is listening right now and they're thinking, updating the immune system. So obviously, I live in Cincinnati and you don't. So you're going to travel to my house, right? And in person, you are going to update my immune system because
No.
what? How? How does this even happen?
It's actually long distance healing, right? Many, many people are doing long distance healing these days. So I'm in one location, you're in another. I used to have a physical office for many, many years, and then I went remotely. And remote or long distance healing, it's kind of like it's kind of like a radio station, right? We have a radio, we're listening to this radio, like, how does it get that signal? Because we tune in to the right signal. Soon as we do, then we pick up the signal of the radio station, and then we can hear it. It's the same exact thing with the body and long distance healing.
Okay. So let's say, let me walk you through, for an example. I have back pain. Okay.
Okay?
Like, played a round of golf. I immediately go to everydaysymptoms.com and I got to get a hold of Terry and book a call and I hire you to help me alleviate this back pain. Now you can share as much as you need to or want to because I know we're talking in the medical field, but
Right.
what's the basic process? How would we even do that when you're not even close to where I'm at and I got this really bad back pain?
Because I'm a weird person, that's why.
Yes, tell us about your weirdness. That's awesome.
I am a little strange. No, I am a psychic medium. I was born seeing like streaming videos in my mind, like the theater. Okay. And it used to tell me the future. When I was a kid, I watched movies every night I went to bed. And I thought every kid did that. And they did with a DVD or a VCR or whatever they were using. They did not do it the way I was doing it. And I would see people in places and things, and the future, often the future, a lot of future events would come to me. And I was just born this way. I would hear people talking to me, and of course, I was afraid they were going to put me in the psych unit, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
because I was just different than everybody else. But I just knew things, and things came very easily to me as a child. And I use this ability to be able to figure out what's going on. So I'll give you an example. Like,
Yep.
say you have back pain, right? And you just played a round of golf. My guides, because everybody has guides, we all have little helpers on the other side. My guides would show me a picture of Sam standing there holding on to his golf grip. And so what happens is that the golf grip, or what the golf grip is made of, is actually creating blockages in the meridians in acupuncture and then causing the pain. So if we go to an acupuncturist, they say, "Oh, it's the blockages that are doing it," and they put the needles in and the pain goes away. The problem is, as soon as Sam goes and golfs again, here comes the back pain, right? It continues because actually that golf grip or the synthetic rubber, whatever it is that it's made of, actually is causing the blockages. So we can go and we can go to the medical doctor. We could take, NSAIDs or nonsteroidal anti-inflammatories, muscle relaxants, things like that. Go for massage or physical therapy, or we can actually find out who did it. So the key for me is finding out who did it. So in Sam's case, um, my guides are showing me, oh, it's the golf grips. So basically, what I do is I update the immune system to the golf grips and that weird synthetic rubber that we make in a chemistry lab. And as soon as I update the immune system, here goes Sam. He goes out and plays golf. No back pain. How does that happen? It happens because it's all about updating the immune system, the whole thing. And it holds. It holds very, very well. I have been treating for like 24 years now. One of my the people that I worked with, one of the chiropractors that I work with, met somebody at a farmer's market one day and they realized they knew me. And this woman shared that I had treated, updated her immune system 15 years before. And this, all these things had held. So this person was not having any issue with these items that I had worked with her on, and it just goes to show sessions hold and it just changes your life in a profound way. And this is the reason I do this. I just love it because people that have had huge, profound issues for years and years, they have a new life. They have more choices and their life is back and they don't have to worry about their health anymore.
That is, wow. Now, Terry has a huge heart. I've known her for a while now. She has just a heart of gold and willing to help anybody anytime. I still don't understand. Now, keep in mind, I don't have much college education. Okay. I'm still not clear how you are able to, what is updating the immune system? For example, I don't want to take us off the back pain thing, but allergies, for example. I mean, I'm coughing and sneezing, and here in Southwest Ohio, we got terrible allergies, and allergists are making a killing. You can't even get an appointment. I dial into somebody like you. I don't understand. I've got my own immune system, but I'm 1,000 miles away. I don't understand how you're able to get into my immune system remotely. Does that
Yeah.
make sense?
Yeah, it does. I'm able to tune into people's voices. I'm able to look at a picture or even look at you on Zoom and be able to tune in and actually become you. So
Whoa.
I become you and then I work on myself and I send this session and the update to you.
That's wild. That's so
Yeah.
wild. Trying to do most people have trouble comprehending that?
You know what? Years ago, if I tried to explain it to someone, they would have a huge problem with it. It was just not really out there. And nowadays, so many people are doing long distance healing. Although I do notice that the majority of people come from traditional medicine, whether they're into the alternative medicine or not, they still have that fundamental belief system.
Right.
So we look at like a medical doctor, say you had seasonal, symptoms and you went to the medical doctor, they're going to look at your symptoms and they're going to do some testing or blood tests or allergy tests or whatever. They're going to give you a diagnosis and they're going to give you a treatment protocol that's connected to the diagnosis.
Right.
Just remember whether a medical doctor at, a famous place or a country, hospital or whatever, it is exactly the same. They are trained the same way. Either they manage symptoms with medication or do surgery. Okay,
Mm.
that's what they do. And no matter which one you go to, you're going to have exactly the same kind of modality, that same way of looking at things. And then people think, oh, naturopaths are so much better. They're basically the same. They're more on the natural side, homeopathics, supplements, um, vitamins, minerals, natural remedies, but they're still going symptoms, diagnosis, treatment. They're still doing the same thing. Are we going to fix it? Yeah, probably not. Not without medication all the time. So who
Yeah.
wants to do that? Nobody.
Right. 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 That's why. How many? So you've been doing it 24 years. Now, how many clients have you treated remotely in that 24-year period of time?
Thousands.
Tens of thousands.
Yeah, probably tens of thousands.
Like a lot.
Yeah, like a lot. Like more than anybody would ever believe I work with. They
That's
would
what
never
that's
believe it.
Yeah, that's where I was going because we were working with Terry with her podcast and her speaking and all of that. And, as we got to know each other more, I was shocked by your schedule. Like you are nonstop. When you work on your work days, you are how many clients do you see in an average day remotely?
It just varies. It varies throughout the year. It varies what's going on. But I can tell you I'm, getting up at 8:30 in the morning and I'm not getting done treating people or working with people until about 10 o'clock at night because I work with people all over the world. And that's the cool part about long distance healing is
Yeah.
that their location is no longer an issue.
Yeah.
I can work with anyone, anywhere, and I've worked with people in Bali, in Vietnam, in Europe, in Amsterdam, in England, all over Panama. I've worked everywhere, and it works the same. Doesn't matter. It's exactly the same. And actually, this is going to really surprise people. Like you think, oh, maybe physical. Work or being one on one in the same room would actually work better. It doesn't. It
Mm.
actually works better long distance because I don't have all the limitations of the body to deal with. I can do so much more in a session than I ever would be if I tried to work with you one on one in a room.
How long is an average session?
It's actually 15 minutes.
15 minutes.
It is. I'm very, very quick and I know exactly what to do and I can figure out exactly what's causing issues.
Can you give an example of a client? No names or anything, obviously. We're getting
Yeah.
into HIPAA stuff, but can you give an example of male or female showed up and they're like, Terry, there's no way you're gonna fix this. I've had this ailment forever, but good luck. Can you give an example of like something that happened with that?
My boyfriend with asthma absolutely fixed him and he's alive. But like, I'll give you an example. There was someone that I treated, worked and updated their system for some of their food sensitivities. And then I didn't see them for a while, for about 9 months or something. And I get a phone call and they're like, I have the worst sciatic pain ever. Like, I cannot function. And I did some testing and actually found out that I said, my guide showed me a picture of them standing there with like this big pile of pants. And I said, "Did you get some new clothing?" And she said, "Yeah." And she said, I said, what did you get? And she said, "Oh, I found these really great pants that I love. And I bought 25 pair." Now, this is an older person, 25 pair or 20. Yeah, yeah, 25 pair. And when I did some testing, it actually turned out to be the fabric dye that was causing the pain. So I updated our system to the fabric dye, and they walked out the door without any sciatic pain and wore those pants every single day, never had an issue again.
these stories, these stories. So I picked Terry's brain. She hires me for coaching. I end up asking her more questions
Yeah,
probably on our call. I'm fascinated. So I'm curious about this question. So I'm going to hit a third rail here.
sure.
People that believe in the Bible
Got it.
and believe in Jesus Christ, the Holy Trinity, anything to do with intuitive, psychic medium. Hey, whoa, no way. Where do you come at from that angle?
Well, I was born this way. I was created by God. So I can't be a mistake or anything that happened to me. I was born into this life the way I am. So maybe these abilities are for me to use for the good. And that's exactly what I'm doing. Now, if I were in church and or a synagogue or some place of worship and I had these abilities, they would say I have discernment or prophecy or whatever. They would say that it was a gift from God. If I'm not in their church or their religious, facility, they're going to think that I'm doing the work of the devil, that something is weird about me. There's nothing weird about me. As you can see, I look pretty normal, but
Yeah.
I just see pictures all day long. I have like a little TV screen over here or over here that when I look there, I get that information. And when I look at you straight, then I see you. So I have a regular life like anybody else. I just get information constantly. And people would never believe the visions, the stuff that I have that tell the future. Like if you want me to, I'll tell you a story that's something that happened to me. I was married to that person that had my ex-husband who had all the asthma and ended up on a ventilator and almost died 3 times.
Mm.
And he still didn't believe that I was, had any gifts, any abilities. He just kind of sloughed it off and said, "Oh, yeah, yeah, right." And he was going to see somebody that he hadn't seen in like 30 years. It was a real estate investor. And all of a sudden, I said, "Wait, wait, wait, wait. Here goes the video." The video is starting, and it's like a spontaneous video, like you would watch on, any channel or getting streaming movies, that kind of thing. That's the way it looks to me. And I said, "Just wait, wait, wait. Let me tell you about this." Now, I have never met this man that he was going to see. I said, "This man has eyebrows that are so bushy and so out of control. I want to take a scissor and cut them and trim them. They are standing out like this far." So I said, "This guy has a beer belly and has, I described all this detail because I'm just looking at him." And all of a sudden, my guide showed me a 3-page contract, and I can read every single word on this contract. It's unbelievable. And I'm reading this contract and I'm like, "Oh, it's a real estate contract." And all of a sudden, my guides, they flip one of the pages over and they said, "You tell him that he has to cross out this clause." And what they did is they highlighted it in yellow. And they
Mm.
said, "Tell him to cross out this clause or he will get in big trouble." I said, "Okay, I'll tell him." So I told him all this stuff and he just shook his head and ran out the door. And I didn't see him for hours. He comes back and he looks at me and his eyes are really big. I said, "So did the guy have the eyebrows and the beer belly and the 3-page contract? Did you cross out the clause?" And he says, "I did." "How do you know that? How do you know that?" And I said, "I've been trying to tell you." I'm a weird person. I'm just, I have some abilities that, most people don't have, not certainly not the level that I have them.
Yeah.
And, so he was shocked. So how do I know this? This is in the future. I don't know this man. I have nothing. I have know nothing about him. I could have rewritten that contract word for word and actually typed it out on a computer and given it to him. And everything that I said came true. How do you
That's
explain
wild.
it?
You know, I when we first talked on, do you remember our very first conversation when you booked the call last fall?
Yes, I do.
Yeah. I don't know what it was. So we tried to get on Zoom. Zoom didn't work. We ended up talking on a cell phone,
Yeah.
and you were inquiring about podcast coaching.
Mhm.
And you were so sure. You were so it's like probably the one of, not the, but a very short call for the amount of money that you invested in coaching. You said, "No, I don't want to be in a group. I want to work with you one on one." I'm like,
Mhm.
"Okay, but this is the price." Okay. And you said, "Great, let's do it. You ready?" I'm like, so I'm curious because I don't think I've ever asked you this question. You didn't spend a lot of time with me on the phone. Did you have anything streaming or any sense that you got just from a phone call? Because
Yeah.
you were very assertive, like uh quick to make a decision.
I saw you on a YouTube ad, and I knew as soon as I saw you that you were the right person for me.
Hmm.
I didn't even have any question about it. And I think we all have that. See, the thing is, yes, I'm a little different and that kind of thing, but everybody has that intuitive ability. Have you ever looked at someone and said, something's not right with that person? Maybe you don't have all the information. You just know that something's not quite right. Or you look at somebody else and you just get this confirmation. There's no doubt. You know exactly that this is the person that you need to be with. Well, that's what happened with me. I knew you were the person I was supposed to study with. Now, did I search? I searched all over. I looked at all kinds of opportunities, coaching, that kind of thing, never got a confirmation.
Hmm.
Soon as I saw you, I said, "Sam is the person I need to be with."
Wow. Well, I'm so happy you did.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm so happy you
totally.
did. It's been a
And
great
me
relationship.
too. I mean, I'll share this. This is a little bit more on the personal side of things, but I was very, very afraid of being seen or being heard. Doing a podcast with Sam was like the first podcast was like 100 tries. It
Yeah.
was so difficult and debilitating. I was ready to quit. And if I had not been doing one-on-one with Sam, I probably would not have gone any further. But what happened is he has been so good at just kind of bringing me through some of the fears that I had. I had a lot of, things that happened to me in childhood, especially, Catholic upbringing, Mom said, you shouldn't be seen or heard, this kind of thing. Had a lot of programming. So I worked on myself emotionally as I work with Sam. And here I am talking to you, and I'm not even nervous. It's like amazing that I am able to do this. This is a miracle. Seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a big soprano voice, and I was in a recital. If I looked at the audience, I would go into hysterics. It was that bad.
Mm.
And all of a sudden, here I am, and I'm able to do this. And I don't know, Sam's magic touch, something. So
I think you had a lot to do with that. I received the blessing, but I think you had a lot to do with that. Let's talk about the podcast because, like you said, when you first got started, that microphone weighed 100 pounds,
oh my
you know,
God.
and that's not something you've ever done before. Like you do what you do. You're very good at it. You're an RN. You heal people. You work remotely. You've got your client. This was completely foreign land for you, you know? So, but your growth in the podcasting space, and by the way, check out Terry's podcast, Relief from Everyday Symptoms. That's the name of her podcast. You can get it wherever you download podcasts, iTunes, Spotify. But that process, when you finally nailed it,
Mhm.
you nailed it, and I think it's such a great testimony because I think, like I said, everybody's got a story to share and everybody's got a lesson to teach. And if you don't get that message out there, you're robbing so many people of a blessing because
Mhm.
of the things that you can help them with and encourage them and inspire them to just get moving, create momentum in whatever area they want. But your journey into the podcasting space, if we rewound it back to the summer of 2022, did you ever see yourself with a podcast or speaking or anything like that?
Especially on video here, would
Yeah.
never happen. It would never,
What's the
never,
fear?
never.
Talk about that fear. Like, how do you work through like that was paralyzing, not just for you, but millions of other people have a paralyzation when it comes to speaking or being seen and getting their voice because of the judgment they fear from other people. What was going through your mind when you decided to launch the podcast relative to the fear perspective?
Yeah. It had more to do. I think one of the biggest changes was shifting over to the fact that it wasn't about me,
Yep.
that it was more about providing the message. And I have spent years and years listening to people being in tears and their lives are ruined because they're not able to function, and they have no ability. They're eating 3 foods and they can't go out to eat. They can't do all these things. And for me, I want to do something that is going to be helpful and educate people so that they are able to have some hope and to realize that actually all this craziness that's out on the internet, I go out there, I go, what are these people talking about? It is not that difficult, guys. It's really not.
Yeah.
But it's amazing how people have spun this information, and I wanna make it simple, easy. I wanna give people hope, and I want to be able to heal people and give them their lives back. It changes everybody's life. I've never met a person that hasn't had improvement and just profound changes in what their choices are.
Yeah. And, from an entrepreneurial perspective, your lifestyle is perfect for you. I
Mhm,
mean, you work from home, right? Obviously you schedule your calendar the way you schedule your calendar.
mhm.
So, what's that entrepreneurial journey been like when you first got started doing this? How did you find new clients? How did you keep the lights on? How did you keep the bills paid? What happened in those first few years when you were starting this business from home?
Oh my gosh. I was so used to working in hospitals and clinics that, and obviously I don't do any of that now, but um that it was very difficult to make that change. But my ex-husband was an entrepreneur and he really helped me. I wanted to do work on my own all my life, and I did not want to be in an institution of any sort. And what happened is that I had 1 or 2 people that was working with my ex-husband was saying, "Oh, no, 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 don't go and get a job, you can do it, you can do it." And it was interesting because this practice just continued to build, and it built on its own. And my ex-husband would say to me, I've been an entrepreneur. I've had all these businesses. Nobody's business works like this. I mean, you do no advertising, no marketing. How is it that you get people that come to you? Like, what is it?
Yeah.
And I said to him, I said, because it's God's business. It's not
Mm,
mine. I show up every day. I do the work. The healing comes through me. Is it done through me? Is it me? No, no, it's not. It actually is like a channel through the divine. Absolutely. And that's been my experience. I've never had to do really anything. I have a website only because I have to have people be able to connect in some way. They want to see something written. But other than that, for years, I never did anything. And people just can't, they were lining up out my door. How can that happen? It's got to be something bigger than myself. Absolutely. And
yeah.
that's what it is. It's just divinely guided.
Yeah. That's pretty wild because that entrepreneurial journey is so difficult. We've all heard the statistics, 9 out of 10 businesses fail in the first year. And then if you're lucky enough to make it past that, 9 out of 10 of those that made it fail in the next 5 years. And now here you are, 24 years in, no shortage of clients, no sign of slowing down.
Mhm.
And, I believe that every business is owned by God as well. My business as well. I use every day as Saturday. I call it a ministry, because I think God gives me a message to share on my podcast every day. I share it. I don't
Mm.
think those are my words. I believe they're his words. I may mangle them a little bit and say things I probably should get in trouble for, but I'm also human, I guess.
Yeah.
But I think when you put it in that perspective, when you said it that way, like that resonated with me. It's a gift from God. I asked you about that Christian flavor because, I think the deepest wounds that I've had, some of the deepest wounds I've had have been administered by my fellow Christian, you
Mm.
know? And I
Wow.
think Christian on Christian crime is prevalent everywhere. I don't mean physical crime. I mean the snarkiness, the judgment, the who do you think you are? You're not doing it right. You're not doing it this way. You're not right. I had somebody tell me, a third person that got back to me in a third party that says, Sam just wasn't one of us when I left the church.
Oh my gosh.
I don't even know what one of us means. We're all God's children, you know? So when you are doing, the boldness that you have, to share your talent. And I also never heard you put it in that perspective that if you were in the church, you would be prophetic
Right.
or you would have discernment. That resonated with me because those are words as Christians we all know. He's a prophecy, she's a prophecy, or they have discernment, they know about that person. I think the I think the thing that, makes you different, you say it's weird, is that, you seeing the movies and you being able to program the immune system from afar. I didn't know this was going on. I didn't know it was even possible until you and I, started working together. But when you said that about, involving God and if you were in the church, that kind of resonated with me.
Totally. Yeah, it's I just find that there's a lot of disconnection with we have this idea about spirituality, but we have to realize that every single one of us was created by God. So, we're going to look different. We're definitely going to look different. And unfortunately, if I were to talk to somebody that's very traditional or in their thinking, they're going to have a hard time jumping over the fence. They just are.
Yeah.
And, I always say I'm an acquired taste because
I think we all are.
you have to be okay with it. But one thing I do know is that if you have, spent a lot of resources, a lot of time, you've been in pain for a long time, these kind of things, guess what? Eventually, Terry is the last door.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, they get really willing. They're like, I'm so sick of being sick and tired that I want to do something. And all of a sudden, they come in and I'm like, just follow me. I'll take you where you need to be. And we start working, and it's like a whole world changes. So it's the same thing with you. Like, the podcasting, you're giving people an avenue to be able to, um, to share their expertise. Everybody has an expertise, everybody has gifts,
Yep.
and everyone has a message. And I think it's wonderful what you're doing because if it weren't for you, I wouldn't be here talking right now.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is no small feat getting you on the
No.
podcast.
No.
That's kind of an inside joke with Terry and I because I said, Terry, I'm going to interview you on my podcast. And all of a sudden, I think it just went quiet.
No, don't do it.
Fear, the fear. But hey, you're doing great. I mean, people are going to love this because you're so authentic. I mean, you are who you are. You make no apologies for who you are. You're doing what your gift is out there. I'm curious, have you ever had a client where the programming the immune system did not work?
Um, what I do find is that the symptoms that people have, okay, many times we think it's only one thing causing it. This is not true. So say you have congestion and that's been going on for a while. Is it just one thing? No. It's usually a multitude of things that are causing it. Like everybody's immune system speaks in different ways. So for me, like I've shared on my podcast, I had like horrible diarrhea and, acid reflux and fibromyalgia all over, clearing my throat, things like that. And those were my symptoms. Whereas my ex-husband, everything was asthma, no back pain, no stomach aches, no skin issues, no migraines, no headaches. Everything was lungs for him.
Mm,
So what happens is that anytime he comes in contact with something the immune system doesn't like, he's going to get chest tightness over. Okay. For me, it's going to be different. For somebody else, it will be different as well. So that symptom or that grouping, though, the couple symptoms that is the way your immune system communicates is due to multiple things. So some people, what will happen is that they still have this idea it's got to be one thing. I'm like, we've got to reset the system, the stomach first. And if they continue, then everything just ends up clear. They're able to do all those things they couldn't do before. But what will happen is that, say, 2 or 3 years down the line, say it's, wheezing, say it's, shortness of breath or asthma, they haven't had anything for all that time. They come in contact with something that the immune system doesn't like. How is it going to tell them? It's going to do this. It's going to do
mm,
the lungs. Okay. So that's one of the things trying to get that point across is difficult. It
mm.
really is because people think like say you go and you're taking sulfa drugs and you have sensitivity to them. Say you have a rash all over. If I work on the sulfa drugs, guess what? The rash goes away, all is well. But some of these chronic symptoms, it does take a series of sessions to be able to resolve it completely. But you'll definitely, within a few, you'll see things shifting, 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 shifting. All of a sudden, the symptoms start going down in intensity and then they start separating in frequency. And before you know it, somebody will say, "Hey, Terry, I haven't had that in 3 weeks."
You know,
Well,
I'm
I went.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm thinking of a guy I knew back in the day. He was in his mid 70s. He could barely walk. His knee was just throbbing.
Mhm.
And every time we'd have a cup of coffee, and about every, I don't know how many months, let's just say 6, he's like, "Well, just had the knee drained again today. Just had the knee drained again today." And the thought in my mind was, there's got to be something better than going to a doctor to have a huge needle stuck in your knee and draining that fluid. Would that be that particular? I know I'm just firing stuff at you because
No,
I'm just
sure,
curious.
sure.
Would that be an individual that would show up on Zoom with you and you would be able to heal that?
Yeah, totally.
Wow.
So what happens is that just remember that fluid is a reaction from the immune system. So is the inflammation, right?
Yeah.
So everybody talks about inflammation like it's something that we need to fix. It's actually the immune system's response to something it doesn't like.
Mm.
So we can take turmeric or whatever, but it's not going to make any difference long term. We're still doing the same, managing symptoms with medication or supplements or whatever.
Yeah.
So what I would do is I would start problem solving why his knee is doing that. And then I start getting the pictures and then we start clearing the things that are actually causing it. And before you know it, the knee is better. I have
Amazing.
worked with seriously medical doctors, many, many medical doctors um, that they don't really have an ability to be able to fix it. They have an ability to write prescriptions for it, but they can't fix it. So they'll come to me and say, "Hey, can you fix this?" And we start working on it. Like for somebody with your friend's knee, what will happen is that it could be the athletic workout clothes. They're sprayed with tons of chemicals, drying wicking and this wicking and that wicking, formaldehyde and that kind of thing. You kind of clear those things. Sometimes it's shoes, like our sneakers, right? Our sneakers, our golf shoes, our dress shoes, they have a lot of chemicals on them. Nobody thinks about that. They think they're neutral somehow. They're not neutral. They
Yeah.
have a lot of glues and things like that. People are sensitive. What's going to happen? That knee is going to bother you. I've seen tons of back pain, joint pain, knee, ankle, foot issues, and it's all connected to things like that.
Yeah. Yeah. That is, when you had mentioned the operating system, Microsoft, Mac, Apple, and that operating system needs to be updated. That's what you're doing with the immune system.
Right.
Well, when we die, does that mean that the operating system has run its course? It's done? It's crashed or what?
It's crushed. Um, well, the thing is the body dies, right? But I've done testing with applied kinesiology, and it because obviously I'm just in this, this life,
Yeah.
but um it looks like it holds even beyond that.
No kidding.
Seriously. It does. It does. And one of the cool things is like um uh you'll find that a lot of these sensitivities, they're actually inherited. They come from mom and dad.
Yeah.
So guess what? Your whole family has the same issue.
Yeah.
Maybe their symptoms might be different. Maybe their immune system is more the runny nose thing, or maybe somebody else has, headaches or something, but they're still reacting to the same things because they're actually inherited.
Yeah. That's a wild. I never thought about it holding past the natural life.
Mhm.
That's pretty
Absolutely.
wild. This lifestyle, I'm gonna wrap it up in a few minutes here, but, getting back to the entrepreneurial lifestyle, there were, I think 1 or 2 times that you and I were chatting. You're like, "Yep, I'm going to," and then name a location, whether it was Mexico or going to visit a friend over here. You've got a nice schedule, and I wanna frame this in the way that when you put the work in
Mhm.
and you're rewarded with the revenue,
Mhm.
and now you're in control of your schedule, there'll be times where you'll block out a significant amount of time on your calendar to just travel, right?
Mhm. Correct. Yeah, I mean, to me, being an entrepreneur, um, the thing that's most important to me is lifestyle.
Yeah.
Not the job so much, but what I wanna do in my life. I wanna be able to pick up the dry cleaning that day and not have to worry about it. Whereas I remember when I was doing the 9 to 5 thing that I could never catch the dry cleaner
Yeah.
or anything else that I had to pick up or go get gas or whatever. It was like I was always struggling with that kind of thing. So I decided I didn't wanna have that lifestyle. Just because everybody else does it doesn't mean that I have to do it. So when I was working in the hospital, I, devised a 4-day work week, and then I started working for myself, and then it was, down to 3. And I just decide however I want to do it. And that's the great thing about being an entrepreneur, that you do not have to follow the rules that everybody else is following. Like, why do that? If somebody put me in a cubicle for 30 years, I would go crazy.
Yeah.
Would not be able to do it. I'd have a retirement at the end, but I still wouldn't be able to do it.
Yeah.
Not easily, not easily.
Were you scared? Did you like when you first launched and left the 9 to 5, did you have a huge level of fear that you might not be able to pay your bills or wouldn't
Yep,
work or anything?
totally. I really was, and thank God for my ex-husband, that he was an out of the box thinker, and so was I. I tried to start several businesses before I started doing this work, and but, um, but it's all a matter of shifting out of that thinking. It's kind of the same thing with going from traditional medicine to opening up your mind to long distance healing, that I just had to change my mind. Can I buy my own life insurance? Sure.
Yeah.
Can I get my own health insurance? Yes, I can.
Yeah.
And those were the things that were stopping me. And I just couldn't believe that I would continue having clients coming to me. But I treat this person and they send their cousin and their uncle and their child and their dog, because I work with dogs and cats and horses and ferrets and whatever else,
Mhm.
because they have the same sensitivities that we do. And it just continued. I never had to worry about it. And that just goes to show when it's like you're self-driven, you're ego-driven, um, you may have a different experience, but with me, I've never had to worry about it. It's like it just shows up no matter what I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah. Boy. And obviously you get results because you can't have a referral based business if you're not getting results for people.
It's, I would say, about 99% referral business. It always has.
Yeah.
It's never been anything different. And people can respond to results. You can't argue with results.
Yep.
So, if you have somebody that weren't able to eat anything, they were having all kinds of problems, and then all of a sudden they tell their aunt, and the aunt's like, "How can I argue with that? I know how you used to be, and I know how you are now,
Yep.
and your whole life has changed." I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Um, so if somebody's listening to the podcast right now, what's the process? They go to everydaysymptoms.com, they book a call, and then what does that look like? What's that? Is it kind of like a consult, or what happens after they book a call with you?
So basically, when someone's interested, they go to my website and there'll be a little video. Actually, Sam made that video for me. We put it together. We put it together, and it's his voice. I'm so grateful for that. Thank you.
Huh,
And you watch this little video, and then you sign up for. You get a time on the calendar, and I will call you, and it's free. There's no cost in it at all. But we can do some basic testing and find out what's going on. First of all, I want to make sure that you're someone I can help. Because if you're not, I'm going to, send you on to someone else. But if I can help you, which is most of the time, I find things are just the immune system, having problems. Um, we will set up a time on my calendar, and we'll start working together. And we're going to work with your tummy first, and then we're going to start looking at other things. But even like seasonal sensitivities or chemical sensitivities, as soon as I work with the stomach and get that straightened out, you'd be amazed. Those symptoms will come down 50%, 75%. You won't even have nearly the issues that you thought you did related to those. And it really has to do with the tummy and whether it's working. The body just wants to be able to absorb, metabolize nutrients, vitamins, minerals, food in general.
yeah. So if you want to see that video, that cool little less than 2-minute video, and you can book a call with Terry, you can go to mycomfortcall.com. That's directly to her calendar. Her website is everydaysymptoms.com. We can check out and look at all the information Terry has on the site, see if it applies to you. When you're ready to book a call, you can do it right there on her site, or just go to mycomfortcall.com. Her calendar is right there, and you can have a conversation with her. Fascinating interview, Terry. I'm always, every time we have a conversation, I feel like, geez, I learned a little bit more. I mean, I've learned a lot from you so far over the past 8 to 9 months. I learned more today as well. And look, I just want to edify you. I think, you're an amazing individual. I respect you as a person, definitely as a healer. And I give you all the credit in the world for having the courage to launch your podcast, continue to do that. And now entering into the foray of public speaking. Okay. Terry is now for hire as a public speaker.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah. And showing up on this podcast, just because that there's somebody listening right now that's going to end up booking a call with you, and you're going to end up helping them. And that's the reason why she's on the podcast. That's the reason why I wanted her on the podcast, because like she said, she's an acquired taste. She's not everybody's cup of tea, but I'll tell you what, if you're somebody that you've gone to this doctor and you've gone to this urgent care and you've got pills upon pills in the medicine cabinet, Terry's the last door, she said, that you end up at when all things have failed. Might be worth a shot to go to mycomfortcall.com.
And
So
without medication or supplements, you don't have to take a thing.
yeah,
And that's the great part.
it
Yeah.
really is. No needles,
Nope.
no, and nothing crazy like that. So Terry, thanks so much for being on the Everyday is Saturday podcast. I know a ton of people are going to get just a lot of great information and be blessed by it. So thanks so much for showing up today and being on the podcast. It was awesome.
Thank you so much, Sam. And everyone is welcome. Just give me a call. We'll take a look. See
All
what's
right,
going on.
folks. That's a wrap with Terry on the Everyday Saturday podcast. We'll see you on the next episode.
You got it.
Hey, to the podcast episode in the book. Thanks so much for watching. Hey, a couple things. Number one, make sure you subscribe to the channel so you never miss a future episode. Number two, can you like the video? Helps all that algorithm juice get going. We're looking for amazing people like you. And when you like the video, it helps us out. And here's the last thing and the most important thing. Everybody has a story to share and a lesson to teach, and that means you. Get that message out there, all right? And make every day a Saturday. I'll see you on the next episode.